Welcome back, everyone, to the channel where we explore rare coins and the fascinating stories behind them. Rarest coins. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins in modern numismatics, the Washington Quarter 1967. You might think that quarters are everyday pocket change, but the story of the 1967 Washington Quarter proves that even a common coin can have a hidden treasure tale worth millions of dollars. In this video, we will cover the history of the Washington Quarter, how the 1967 coin came to be, and why one particular example is rumored to have fetched a record-breaking value of $1.7 million. Whether you are a seasoned collector or someone who just found a 1967 quarter in your couch cushions, this video is for you. Let us begin with the history of the Washington Quarter. The Washington Quarter first entered circulation in 1932. It was designed to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Up until that point, most quarters had featured Liberty standing, but this new design replaced Liberty with a portrait of the first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it has endured for decades with only minor changes. For the first 35 years, the Washington Quarter consisted of 90% silver and 10% copper. These coins were prized not just for their face value, but for their metal content. Collectors and everyday people treasured them for their beauty and their intrinsic worth. Now let us fast forward to the 1960s. In 1965, the United States Mint faced an unprecedented demand for coins. America was enjoying economic growth, but at the same time, silver bullion prices began to rise. More and more people were hoarding coins for their silver content. The Mint struggled to keep up with demand, and silver blanks became scarce. As a result, the Mint made a historic decision. In 1965, they removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters. The composition changed to a clad sandwich of copper and nickel. The Washington Quarter was no longer 90% silver. It continued in this new clad form through 1966 and 1967. Because of the ongoing coin shortage, a lot of people assumed that the 1967 quarter was rare. That perception drove collectors to hoard every example they could find. And this is where the story gets even more interesting. Most 1967 Washington quarters were minted in standard circulation strikes. At the Philadelphia Mint, Philadelphia did not use mint marks on quarters at that time, so all 1967 quarters look essentially the same to the casual observer. They are made of copper nickel, they weigh about 6.25 grams, and about 40% of all quarters produced that year went into circulation. In normal circumstances, these would be considered common coins and not particularly valuable beyond their face value. But coins and coin collecting are full of fascinating exceptions. In the world of rare coins, value depends on condition, rarity, and collector demand. A regular 1967 quarter found in your pocket today might be worth only 25 cents to a couple of dollars to a collector if it's in uncirculated condition. But in the numismatic world, there are always outliers. Every so often, a coin emerges that defies expectations. A collector might find an uncirculated specimen with perfect surfaces or some unusual error that makes it unique. And that brings us to the story of the 1967 quarter that made headlines with an astonishing value of $1.7 million. According to reports in the rare coin community, a particular 1967 quarter graded at the highest possible condition achieved a private sale value of $1.7 million. The coin was rated at an extremely high grade, meaning that under magnification, it showed virtually no imperfections. Most coins suffer some light marks, or were even straight from the mint, but this particular quarter was absolutely pristine. Some experts believe it could have come from a mint set that was never released or handled only by a collector who took exceptional care of it. Because it stood out from millions of other 1967 quarters, it became highly sought after by top collectors and investors. Now you might be wondering how a coin with a face value of 25 cents could ever be valued at over $1 million. It comes down to the principles of supply and demand and the extreme rarity of coins in perfect condition. The professional grading services assign numerical grades to coins. The highest grade for a coin is 70 on the grading scale. Most circulation coins do not survive in perfect condition for decades. When one does, and it is certified at the top grade, collectors pay a huge premium. The value is not about the metal or the face value, it is about the story, rarity, and desirability among collectors. The 1967 Washington quarter may never be the most famous coin in history, but the one that sold for $1.7 million is a testament to the passion and dedication of coin collectors around the world. It shows that even everyday coins can become treasures under the right circumstances. If you ever find an older quarter that looks almost new, it might be worth having it professionally graded. You never know, you could be holding $1 million coin in your hand. Thank you for watching today's deep dive into the history and value of the 1967 Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more fascinating coin stories and valuation tips. Let us know in the comments what rare coins you have found or what you would like us to explore next. Until next time, keep collecting and keep discovering the hidden stories behind the coins in your pocket. If you want a version tailored for narration pacing or with visuals cues, just let me know. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Rarest Coins. Today, we are stepping into the fascinating world of coin collecting to take a deep look at one of the most ubiquitous, yet surprisingly interesting coins in American numismatics, the 1979 D. Washington quarter. You might have seen these quarters in your pocket or jar full of change and thought they were just everyday coins, but the story behind this coin and the values it can reach will surprise you. In this video, we are going to cover the history of the Washington quarter, why the 1979 series matters, and how some rare examples have astonished collectors with incredible valuations, including coins selling for what might seem like astonishing amounts of money. If you love coins history or treasure hunting stories, you are in the right place. So let's dive in. Let's start with the history of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. This design replaced the previous Standing Liberty quarter and featured a left-facing portrait of George Washington on the obverse, created by sculptor John Flanagan. That beautiful classic design would become a staple in American coinage for decades. Originally, these coins were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, a composition that ended in 1964. Starting in 1965, the United States Mint switched the Washington quarter to a copper-nickel-clad composition for everyday use, and that change continued through the 70s, including 1979. That the year 1979 is special in Washington quarter history for a couple of reasons. First, it was one of the high-production years with over 1 billion quarters struck across multiple mints. The Philadelphia Mint struck about 518 million pieces with no mint mark. The Denver Mint struck about 489 million with a small letter D indicating Denver production, and the San Francisco Mint struck a smaller number of 3 million plus proof coins for collectors. Because of these large mintages, most 1979 quarters are common and worth little more than face value, especially in worn circulated condition. A typical circulated 1979 D. Washington quarter is worth about 25 cents if it shows wear from use. If it is in uncirculated condition and looks new, it might be worth a couple of dollars or a few dollars more to a collector, depending on quality. Standard estimates place regular Washington quarters from this series from about 25 cents to maybe $10 in most conditions. Why does anyone talk about 1979 quarters being special or valuable beyond that ordinary range? The answer comes down to coin condition, rarity, and exceptional examples. In coin collecting, condition matters enormously. The professional grading services assign a numerical grade to every certified coin, with 70 being a perfect, flawless example straight from the press. Most coins, even brand new, lose tiny marks or imperfections in handling, storage, or circulation. However, every so often a coin survives that is stunningly preserved with original luster, no contact marks, and virtually perfect surfaces. These coins in the highest grades become extremely desirable because surviving examples in top condition are unbelievably scarce relative to the number originally minted. For the 1979 Denver Washington quarter, the story is similar. Most 1979 D quarters in typical mint state condition might trade for a few dollars to a couple of $100s, depending on grade. For example, a 1979 D quarter graded MS-67 in top condition could be valued by collectors for hundreds of dollars for its eye appeal and rarity in that grade. But even beyond that, there are ultra-high grade examples that have set auction records among collectors. Some of these exceptional coins have sold for prices in the thousands of dollars. One example of a 1979D quarter graded at an extremely high level achieved over $5,000 in a major auction as a certified MS-68 specimen, demonstrating that top-graded and beautifully preserved coins can command serious attention from collectors and investors alike. Now, you might be thinking that a coin with a face value of just 25 cents could never be worth a million, much less figure into stories of multi-hundred-thousand or million-dollar coins. Let's talk about that. In the world of rare coins, sometimes record values are shattered by truly unbelievable rarities or errors that collectors prize beyond normal expectations. Often these are coins with errors, missing dies, unusual planchets, or other anomalies that make them unique or extremely scarce. While mainstream 1979D quarters themselves are not extremely rare and typical circulation examples, and do not generally fetch eye-popping prices, there are extreme outlier sales in the Greater Washington Quarter series that show just how valuable coins can be under special conditions. It is important for collectors to understand that pricing in numismatics depends on many factors, not just the date and mint mark, but also the grade and historical significance. The story of the 1979 Washington Quarter is a great lesson in how common coins can become treasures when they are in exceptional condition and when the collector market identifies them as coveted pieces to complete a registry set or to hold as a top-graded example of their type. So, if you find a 1979D quarter in a change jar that looks bright, clean, and unworn, take a closer look. It might be worth more than you think, especially if it has original luster and sharp detail. Many collectors send their coins to grading services to get an official grade, which can dramatically increase the value compared to raw coins. But remember that only the very best examples reach the higher price tiers, and most everyday coins remain humble pieces of pocket change. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the 1979D Washington Quarter, its history, value, and what makes certain examples stand out in the collecting world. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more coin stories and valuation tips. Let us know in the comments if you have ever found a rare coin or what you would like us to cover next. Until next time, keep collecting and keep looking closely at the coins you come across, because you never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. If you want a version with visuals, cues, or narration timing markers, just let me know. Today we're going to talk about a coin that many people have seen in their pocket change without ever thinking twice about it. It's the 1990p Washington Quarter. Some videos and websites online claim that this exact coin is worth huge sums of money, like $1.5 million. In this video, we are going to break down the history of the 1990 quarter, explain its real value in the coin market, separate the truth from exaggerated claims, and show you what to look for if you think you have something special. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and features Washington's portrait on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. For decades, this design was used on quarters and became one of the most popular and collected coins in American history. The coin was made primarily from copper and nickel after 1965, and it continued to be minted in large numbers through the years, including 1990. In 1990, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 613 million Washington quarters that were meant for everyday use. These coins bear the letter P on the front above the date to show they came from the Philadelphia facility. Along with Denver and San Francisco issues, well over 1.5 billion Washington quarters were made that year. Because so many 1990p quarters were produced and released into circulation, this coin is considered common in the numismatic world, and most examples you find are worth only their face value of 25 cents in everyday condition. In average circulated condition, the coin is worth about what it says on the front, just 25 cents. High-grade examples in uncirculated condition can be worth more, but most people will not find these in their pocket change. The basic value range for a typical 1990p Washington quarter is modest, even for collectors, compared to many older coins. Evidence shows that typical values for this coin, even in uncirculated grades, usually fall well under $20 in most certified cases, and many are closer to single-digit premiums over face value when graded professionally. The reason for this is simple: abundance. With hundreds of millions minted, few coins from this year are truly rare or unique. Collectors who focus on modern coins often chase higher-grade pieces, but the 1990p quarter remains a common date. Average market guides list values for a standard uncirculated 1990p quarter commonly from a few dollars up to maybe $10 or slightly more, depending on condition and grading. Even certified mint state coins rarely go beyond the low hundreds in typical sales. The most valuable examples are usually graded extremely high, with pristine surfaces and sharp details. An MS-67 graded 1990p quarter did sell at auction for over $1,500 a few years back, but that is an extreme outlier and not representative of the general market. The vast majority of these coins are far less valuable. Some auction records show that high-grade examples sold for around $1,500, but this does not equate to a general belief that the coin is worth millions. There is no documented or verified sale of a 1990p Washington quarter for $1.5 million in any major auction record. Claims you may see online about such prices are exaggerated and not backed by real numismatic data. They are clickbait at best and misinformation at worst. Now let's talk about why some people think a 1990p quarter could be worth so much. The truth is that rare and valuable coins typically come from one of two categories. They are either extremely scarce due to low mintage or historical significance, or they have genuine mint errors that make them different from normal coins. 1990p Washington quarters, despite the millions produced, can sometimes be valuable if they are in near-perfect condition or if they have a genuine mint error. For example, a coin graded MS-67 or even MS-68 by a professional grading service can be much more than face value. Coins in these grades show exceptional detail and almost no signs of wear. Certified examples like this are scarce, which is why collectors pay a premium for them. But even in these high grades, they are almost never going to reach six-figure values or come close to $1 million. Another reason coins can be valuable is mint errors. These occur when something goes wrong during the striking process at the mint. Examples include off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, and other anomalies. Some of these error coins are collectible and can bring higher prices, but true mint errors must be authenticated and graded by experts. True errors are rare compared to normal coins, but even then they usually sell for hundreds or low thousands of dollars depending on the error type and severity. If you find a 1990p Washington quarter that seems unusual, take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it for professional grading. Should you believe stories online that your 1990p quarter is worth $1.5 million? Absolutely not. There are no authoritative auction records showing that any 1990p Washington quarter has ever sold for anywhere near that amount. The most valuable documented sales for this type of coin remain in the low thousands at most. Claims of multi-million-dollar prices are myths circulated for clicks and views. Coin values are determined by real sales, rarity, condition, and collector demand, not random internet assertions. If you want to know how much your 1990p Washington quarter might be worth, start by looking at its condition. If it looks worn and dull, it is probably worth just face value. If it looks shiny with strong details, and know where you might have an uncirculated example worth more. Consider having it graded by a trusted professional grading service if you think it might be in mint state. Professional grading gives you a certified grade and makes it easier to sell or trade in the coin market. In summary, the 1990p Washington quarter is a common coin with a fascinating place in modern coin history, but it is not inherently rare. Most of these coins are worth only their face value in everyday circulation. Some uncirculated examples and genuine mint error coins can be worth significantly more, sometimes hundreds or even low thousands of dollars at auction. However, there is no credible record of a 1990p Washington quarter selling for $1.5 million. The real value comes from condition, rarity, and verified sales records. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn how to find valuable coins in your pocket change, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have a coin you want us to research next time. Condition importance, myths about $1.4 million, and how to check your coin without using brackets or stars. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in everyday pocket change, the 1979D Washington quarter. You've probably seen pictures of this coin, maybe even held one in your hand. Some people claim these coins are worth huge sums like $1.4 million. In this video, we're going to separate fact from fiction, look at the real history of this coin, explain why some examples can be valuable to collectors, and tell you how much this coin is actually worth in the real world. Let's start with some history. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and featured Washington on the front with an eagle on the back. For decades, this design was used on quarters until various commemorative designs replaced it much later. The Washington quarter has become one of the most collected coins in American numismatics. In 1979, the United States Mint was producing Washington quarters in large quantities for everyday use. The Denver Mint produced nearly 490 million of these coins that year. You can identify a Denver coin by the small letter D located on the front above the date. Because so many of these coins were made, they entered circulation in huge numbers and remain common in change today. The simple fact is that most 1979 D Washington quarters are not rare coins, and most examples you find are worth only their face value of 25 cents. In circulated condition with wear from everyday use, they trade at about 25 cents to $1 or so in the coin market. That is the normal reality for most of these coins. The common status is because of the extremely large mintage and how many were saved and melted or worn over the years. Coin trackers +1. So where did the idea come from that a 1979 D quarter could be worth millions of dollars? You may have seen videos or posts claiming a 1979 D quarter sold for $1.4 million at auction. The truth is that there is no verified record of a 1979 D Washington quarter selling for $1 million. Auction records show that high-grade examples of this coin have sold for a little over $1,000 to a few thousand in extremely rare cases. One MS-67 graded 1979 D Washington quarter sold at auction for around $1,078 in a certified holder. Another auction database shows a Denver 1979 D Washington quarter graded MS-68 selling for around $5,400, but that was exceptionally rare and documented in a specific auction archive. These sales are real and show that pristine, collector-grade coins can sell for significant money, but they are nowhere near the $1.4 million mark. PCGS grade collections. So how can a 1979 D quarter be worth more than face value? The simple answer is condition and rarity. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers meaning better condition and more collector appeal. Most quarters you find in your pocket will be worn and score low on this scale, meaning they have little extra value beyond 25 cents. However, coins that have never been in circulation and retain their original mint luster with no wear can be graded as uncirculated. These uncirculated coins can be worth a few dollars or tens of dollars depending on their exact grade. Graded examples like MS-67 or MS-68 that show exceptional detail with virtually no marks can attract collectors willing to pay hundreds or even low thousands of dollars. Ned Ludd coins. Another way a 1979 D quarter might be worth more is if it has a genuine mint error. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process at the mint. These could include off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, or other unusual features. Some of these errors are rare and can be collectible, bringing higher prices. But even error coins must be authenticated and graded to be valuable, and not all errors cause big price jumps. Many so-called errors people find are just normal variations or damage that do not increase value. Collectors and grading services can tell the difference. Antiques know how now. Let's talk about that myth of $1 million coin. Some stories online saying a 1979 D quarter sold for $1.4 million are simply incorrect or exaggerated. There are no recognized auction records showing such a sale for the 1979 D quarter. Other coins in U.S. history have indeed sold for hundreds of thousands or even millions because of extreme rarity, historical significance, or unique errors. But the 1979 D quarter, with nearly $500 million minted, is not one of them. The most you will typically see for a really exceptional example is a few $1,000s, and most are far less than that. CoinValueLookup.com. So, what should you do if you find a 1979 D Washington quarter in your change? First, look at the overall condition. If it looks worn and dull, it's likely worth only face value. If it looks shiny with sharp details and no wear, then consider having it graded by a reputable coin grading service. Professional grading companies can tell you exactly how high it ranks and whether it is valuable to collectors. Check also for genuine errors like off-center strikes, doubled dies, or other anomalies, because those can increase value if verified by experts. In summary, the 1979 D Washington quarter is an interesting piece of modern U.S. coinage history. Most of these coins are common and worth only 25 cents in everyday circulation. Some uncirculated examples and top-grade and authentic error coins can be worth significantly more to collectors, sometimes reaching into the hundreds or low thousands of dollars. However, stories claiming a 1979 D quarter sold for $1.4 million are not supported by real auction records. Understanding condition, rarity, and collector demand is the real key to determining value, not internet myths. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about identifying valuable coins in your change, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Leave a comment if you have a coin you want us to look up next. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. In this video, we are diving into the fascinating world of coins with a close look at the 1997 D Washington quarter. You might think a quarter is just everyday pocket change, but the story behind this particular coin has captured the imagination of collectors around the world. Today, we are going to explore the history of the Washington Quarter series, the specifics that make the 1997 D unique, how collectors determine value, and how under the right circumstances, even an ordinary quarter can become a sensational treasure worth astonishing amounts of money. This is a deep and exciting journey into numismatics, so let's begin. First, let's talk about the origins of the Washington Quarter. The Washington Quarter was first minted in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Prior to that year, quarters featured Liberty on the obverse, but sculptor John Flanagan introduced the iconic portrait of the first president of the United States. That design has endured for decades and is one of the most recognizable in American coinage. Early Washington quarters were made of 90% silver, but that changed in 1965 when the mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition for all circulating quarters, including the quarters produced in 1997. Now, let's focus on the year 1997 and the Denver Mint strike specifically. The 1997 D Washington quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small letter D on the reverse under the eagle. In 1997, the Denver Mint struck nearly 600 million of these coins, making them very common in everyday circulation. Because of this very high mintage, most 1997 D Washington quarters that you might find in your pocket today are only worth their face value, or maybe a little more if they are in uncirculated condition. Circulated examples with where trade for about 25 cents, and even many uncirculated coins are only worth a few dollars unless they are in exceptionally high condition. The standard market values for most graded 1997 D quarters show modest prices, with top grade selling for a few $100s at most in normal situations. For example, one coin graded MS-68 sold for around $1,700 in an auction archive, which set a strong value reference in the hobby world. That sale was noted as a premium example with superb sharp details and eye appeal that made it stand out even among many other MS-68 coins. So why do collectors pay attention to a coin that originally carried only 25 cents of face value? The answer lies in the fundamentals of numismatics. The value of a coin is not dictated by what it says on the face, but by a combination of rarity, condition, demand, and the story behind the piece. The grading scale used by professional services runs up to 70, and the closer a coin is to that perfect 70, the more desirable it becomes. Most coins, even those uncirculated, pick up tiny marks from handling or storage that prevent them from reaching the top grades. Therefore, a coin that is truly flawless becomes extremely rare, even if the original mintage was high. Collectors seek out these high-grade coins to complete registry sets to hold as investments, or simply for the joy of owning a perfect example of a historic piece of currency. A 1997 D quarter that survives in top grade with full original luster and no contact marks is significantly rarer than the millions of typical circulation pieces that exist. While mainstream pricing guides show that most 1997 D Washington quarters are only worth a few dollars, or even just face value, the few that have achieved the very highest graded levels have sold for premium prices that are far out of the ordinary. Some exceptional examples graded MS-68 or MS-68 Plus have sold in the thousands of dollars range. Now some videos and sensational claims online talk about the 1997 D. Washington quarter being worth $1.5 million or more. It is true that the rarest coins in the world do fetch million-dollar prices at auction, but for the 1997 D. Washington quarter, that kind of value would require an absolutely unprecedented find, such as an error coin of extreme rarity or a previously undiscovered grade specimen that breaks all population records. Stories like these often make headlines among collector communities, and while they capture excitement, it is important to understand how coin value really works. Auction records show the highest confirmed sales for this issue are in the low thousands, not in the million-dollar range. If you ever find a 1997 D quarter that looks nearly new, take time to examine it closely. A coin with deep sharp strike, full original luster, and virtually no marks could be a strong candidate for professional grading. Many collectors use reputable services to get coins certified and graded because that adds credibility and can dramatically increase market value compared to a raw, ungraded coin. But keep in mind that only the very best surviving examples in the entire world are worth the highest prices collectors are willing to pay, and most coins remain humble pieces of pocket change. Another fun aspect of collecting modern quarters like the 1997 D is checking for mint errors or unusual varieties. Some collectors seek out coins struck off-center, double-struck, broadly rimmed, or with planchet errors. These coins can sometimes trade for significantly more than face value, especially if the error is dramatic and well documented. But even then, typical error coins from this year rarely reach anywhere close to the extraordinary values sometimes claimed on social media. The collector market is nuanced and influenced by authenticity, population reports, and collector demand. Where does that leave us with the 1997 D. Washington quarter? It remains a fascinating example of how everyday coins can tell a broader story about American history, minting processes, and the hobby of collecting. Most examples are worth modest amounts, but a tiny fraction that survive in gem or near perfect condition can be worth collector premiums that make numismatists take notice. And while claims of million-dollar values for this specific date and mint mark are not supported by verified auction records today, the excitement around rare coins continues to grow year after year as collectors discover and submit new discoveries for grading and sale. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the history and value of the 1997 D. Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and share your own coin finds in the comments below. Let us know what rare coins you have discovered or what you would like us to explore next. Until next time, keep collecting and keep looking closely at the coins you find, because you never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight.